Good morning, survivors. Gabe Blythe here. How are you holding up? It's currently raining here. And it's funny how you can look at something that has always been and how different it can be at the same time. When it would rain, you hear the cars moving past with that fantastic water whoosh, but also less people walking around. And it gave you peace. And once the rain ceased, you find there's this muggy air, but also a sense of things being clean. It hasn't rained too much since this all began, but it's something I still appreciate. I'm looking out a large window here and can see the abandoned life covered in rain. This piece is nostalgic and different all at the same time. The quiet days watching the rainfall. But now we know that rain won't wash all of this away. I get into these cycles of being alone, and it gets into my head. I'm sorry. I'm working on it, though. Just no one to talk to about all those strange things we never really acknowledged. The small changes, incrementally, until it's a dramatic shift in our experience. Then it's too weird to talk about. Like when you get taller. It's so small. And then one day you're no longer running into doorknobs and hitting your arm on random tables. Or was that just me growing up? Life is weird. Was weird before the event. And it will continue to be weird when the world moves on from all of this. No matter what it'll be. The tenacity of humans gives me hope. Reminds you of the old world, doesn't it? We'll figure this out. We'll get back to something more stable. Soon. Now that we've had our nice little Gabe talks in circles about his emotions for a few minutes, let's get down to business, shall we? Brigadier Jonathan Silas Messinger. Seems to be a pretty decent man. Going through his emails in a very privacy invasion kind of way. First, to offer support to his staff? Is that the right term when it comes to Royal Army? Anyways, he was always going to approve the budget for his team. Birthday cakes, small gifts for holidays and anniversaries. He even got an email from another brigadier saying she has people disappointed when transferring to her base because she didn't give gifts so freely, if ever. So, Messinger doesn't seem like a bad guy. On the terms of terrorist attacks or knowledge of something catastrophic, we have nothing. But here is what I have found that stands out. There are two project and code names that come up pretty frequently. First is Project MAW. That's M-A-A-W for those keeping track at home. And the other is Project Endless. Endless spelled like you would imagine. No fun numbers or anything. Both of these are here in the state of Utah, at least currently. But neither of them started here in Utah from what I can gather. Project Endless was actually being transported here a little before the event. even using those religious tunnels I talked about a while ago. This was so hush-hush that they were afraid to have it moved in a standard convoy, right? Let's see, what was it? Quote, Messenger, "You cannot substitute our goals with alternate means. Project Endless is high value. We need clearance from Crown and Cross to use their alternate means of travel." I think they mean the tunnels. "You have the best connection and can get us permission. Don't..." Well, he uses expletives here, but basically saying don't screw him over on this. Shortly after, there are some updates saying he had a verbal agreement from the local sectors of the Cross and that they could use the tunnels, which routes they would take and whatnot. That could be fun, right? Like finding these tunnels and just seeing where they lead. There aren't any directions here on how to get in or anything, but we can look into that later. This other person emailed back with an itinerary, but with like this caveat that only the area that the Brigadier covered was the information that Messenger was privy to. Does that make sense? Like, if he was only in charge of North Salt Lake, he only knew about the path up to the beginning and end of North Salt Lake. It was that, like, exclusive of information. Let's see. Then they moved through Tunnel Azrael, which is a dope name. And then eventually it would be under the jurisdiction of Brigadier Eva Schuster. To which all I have there is her email reply saying, acknowledged. Eva took this job very seriously, but loved to complain. She was the person sending messages to Messenger here in Salt Lake saying, hey, you're too nice for buying all these gifts. So what is Project Endless? Not a clue. I can't find where it started or what its goals were, but I did find out that Brigadier Eva Schuster is here in Utah, and she's at a research base for the Royal Army and contracted with the Royal Marines. She talks about complications with whatever Project Ma is, saying that she's under a time crunch, and checks in with Messenger here in Salt Lake frequently for anyone in bio and in engineering that could be transferred her way. Now that we have all this information, what are the goals of these two projects? Are they correlated at all? Did either of these or together cause the event? Or is this garbage trivia that we can never really forget from here on? Like how your friend asks you about what year Columbus sailed the ocean blue, but you can remember the rhyme more than the actual words? Whatever happened to Eli? So what's next, you ask? Easy. We get the information from Eva. She's here in Utah. But it's another long journey. So if you aren't local in Utah and you're not familiar with the area, and you just happen to be listening, i.e. my Big Brother conspiracy, remember when I tried to make it to the prison? I'm going further than that. Farther. Further is an unmeasurable distance. Farther is a measurable one. I'm going farther. Farther south, to be specific. Where before, I had a lot of houses and cars and buildings to duck in and out of. On this trip, once I get to a certain point, it's just open fields. A lot of training apparently is done at this camp, Camp Williams. I know because there have been many fires caused by careless drills during a drought, and then boom, the whole mountain is on fire. I know, you're thinking, Gabe, you just said it was a research base. Hey, this is news to me too. I thought it was a reserve or a training base, but apparently it's masquerading as just that while doing research for projects Ma and Endless. So to play it safe, it's going to take me longer to get there. And then I have to figure out, logistics, how to hide myself in wide open spaces. If anything, that means anyone friendly will be able to see me coming from a mile away. And I can see any of the others coming up to me. Not going to be surprised when I turn a corner and, ugh. So we need to pack gear, food, protection, and I need to be ready to bring back a lot of hard drives. And if it starts raining, a way to keep them dry. No, Gabe, there's no getting around this. As scary as it is, we have to get this information. That's how every victory is obtained. Information. Listen to me. I read through a few military emails and I'm now talking about victories and how to obtain them. I must sound like a total tool. I'm heading out probably after tomorrow. And you may not hear me for a while. But keep your ear open. Maybe an eye on the horizon. If I need help, I don't know, start the whole camp on fire. That's gotta get someone's attention, right? I'll be on top of the college building tomorrow, midday to sundown. Even in the rain. It'd be nice to have some company on my walk south. Or a sensible person to talk me out of this madness. So now is a good as time as any to come out of hiding. I don't know if I'm going to make it back. There's a lot of unknowns out there. Remember, we survive for crown and country. You aren't alone out there. Reach out to those who are in need. We are proof of the tenacity of humans. We've made it this far. We'll make it even further with help. Good luck out there. And until you hear from me again, this is Gabriel Blythe of the Salt Lake area, signing off.